Welcome to our short and fun online session on managing your time effectively. Many of the things we will cover today you have heard probably at least once before, but we don't always stick to them or don't do them properly. If you are open to really do them, I promise you will get even better than you are now. Winning people do it. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. First, we will look at how to prioritize your time. Then we will look at how we can stop procrastination. And we will finish the training with a quick recap and final exercise. To demonstrate the importance of prioritization, I want to show you a short video.
There's a well-known story about a university professor who wanted to make a point about how we make the most of our time. The professor stood before his class with some items in front of him. When the class began, without speaking, he picked up a large empty jar and proceeded to fill it with rocks about 2 inches in diameter. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was full. So the professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly and watched as the pebbles rolled into the open areas between the rocks. The professor then asked the students again if the jar was full. They chuckled and agreed that it was indeed full this time. The professor picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand filled the remaining open areas of the jar. "Now," said the professor, "I want you to recognize that this jar signifies your life. The rocks are the truly important things, such as family, health, and relationships. If all else was lost and only the rocks remained, your life would still be meaningful. The pebbles are the other things that matter in your life, such as work or school. The sand signifies the remaining small stuff and material possessions. If you were to put sand into the jar first, there is no room for the rocks or the pebbles. The same can be applied to your lives. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are truly important. Pay attention to the things in life that are critical to your happiness and well-being. Take time to look after your health, play with your children, go for a run, write a letter to your grandmother. There will always be time to go to work, clean the house, or watch TV. Take care of the rocks first. The things that really matter. Set your priorities. The rest is just pebbles and sand.
Imagine that this video represents the jar of your study or work life. It's a very good example for prioritization and time management. If you think of the big stones as your most important tasks that you need to achieve your goals and to be successful, you should start putting in the big stones first. The pebbles are your dailies that still need to be done, but are not as important, and the sand is all the small things that don't matter, but they consume time. If you start with the sand and fill the jar, you don't have time for the truly important things. So make sure you prioritize and start with the big and important tasks, as you will be amazed to see how productive you can still be fitting the pebbles and the sand into the jar. So taking this example into consideration, what is important when prioritizing your time? To use the time that we have as well as we can, prioritization plays a key role. It's important to know that nothing in our daily work is rocket science, but it can be challenging to decide when to do what. The most effective managers are able to recognize which tasks need to be done immediately and which can wait, and for how long. So first of all, in order to be able to prioritize, you need to know your goals and what is important to be successful in your role. For example, if you're a student and you would like to pass exams successfully, what would you need to do for that? Or if you're working for a company and would like to get a promotion, what do you need to do? These are the things that you should spend most of your time on. If you're working, ask your manager for the priorities of the week. Communication is key to make sure that you and the entire team is on the same page and aligned. Prepare daily to-do lists. List the tasks that you need to do during the day. Who of you has a to-do list for the day? How do you do it? Do you use a paper? Do you use Outlook calendar to give you the tasks or something else? And the fourth, it's extremely important that you have your own system and keep time in mind when planning your day. For example, if you're writing a thesis for university, put it in your calendar and dedicate time for it every day, so you don't end up writing it the last time before deadline. So how can we prioritize our time? I will show you a very useful model for setting priorities. It can be very effective in your daily planning. It's called an ABC model. This system is super simple and can do a great job keeping you focused on generating results while keeping you away from not important activities. Here is how it works. Prioritize everything as A, B, or C as follows. Priority A, all the critical things. Anything that has to be done right away or something important will go terribly wrong. Priority B, business as usual. Everything you have to do to meet your short and long-term study, business, and career goals. Priority C, everything else. Busy work, organizing, wants as opposed to needs, nice to haves, and goofing off, 95% of what you do online. We should spend all of our time on B-list activities, except for priority A interruptions, which come up from time to time and always go to the top of the priority list. And we should never start on C-list activities until all the B work is done, which, for the most time, is never. How can we minimize procrastination? First of all, what is procrastination? Procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something, and I'm sure that most of you are familiar with this feeling. Most of us fall into the trap of procrastination at least once in a while and put off or delay tasks we know we need to do. Procrastination is a time waster for sure because it stops us from focusing on the important things we should be doing. Procrastination is comfortable. It happens often when you have an important task to do and you don't know where to start. For example, spending time on your mailbox without really doing something, Skype conversations, and similar. How can we minimize procrastination? First of all, remove distractions that keep you from focusing. Tell your colleagues not to interrupt you for the next hour or so, or choose a room where you can work in quiet, where there is no phone ringing, and similar. If you want to work on an important project, then close your email and set your Skype or Teams on busy so you don't get distracted. Just do it by taking the first step. The first step is the hardest, but if you manage to do it, eventually everything else will follow. Actions help against procrastination the best. Also, don't look at the whole project, for example writing a thesis. It might look overwhelming. If you break it down and work in small chunks, it becomes much more doable. Soft pressure and setting your own deadlines is healthy. It keeps us on our toes and avoids procrastination as we have something to work towards. So when you work on a project, set the deadline when it should be completed, otherwise you risk that it drags along forever. For important tasks, try to choose your most effective time of the day when you feel you have most energy and best focus. This way you make sure you can focus and work effectively. And once you reach the milestone, made great progress, celebrate your success. It motivates you and keeps you going. And last but not least, eat the frog. This is the hook to Brian Tracy's book Eat the Frog, which says, eat a live frog every morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. The principle is simple. The frog represents the things you need to do, but you don't want to do. You aren't motivated to do them, so you procrastinate and they remain undone. The habit of eating a frog first thing makes you productive and avoids the rest of your day being dominated by the thing you are trying to avoid. Mostly your willpower is at the greatest early in the day, so eat the frog every day, potentially in the morning. I would like to recap our short session by giving you 3 takeaways. So first one, always remember the jar example and focus on the big stones that will bring the success in your role. If you have too much on your plate and you can't do all the important things, ask for help. Second takeaway, prioritize your activities using the ABC model to become more effective. You will really notice if you use the model how much better you will become in time management. And third, eat the frog every day. It really helps. As a final exercise, decide on the 3 simple things that you will change in your daily routine to become more effective and write them down. Share some of them, put it in front of your screen, and check it 3 weeks later to see how you're doing. Remember, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. How do you make the most of your 24 hours? It's up to you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this session and looking forward to see you in the next one.